Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Leaders Connect call on Monday, April, what is today, the 17th. It's so good to have you all here with us today. We have a really robust agenda, and it's right here behind my back, so you can see that we want your feedback. We're going to be talking about the early bird incentive that we started last month and heard a little kerfuffle about. So we want your opinions on that and on kudos. So we're going to be talking about whether that's effective for your chapter. Then we've got some things, some thoughts about the ABB hour, the anything but business hour, how you guys can do that really and truly without it being much of an issue or a lot of thought that needs to go into it or a lot of work. It can be as easy as you guys want to make it. And then we want to talk last about our Ed Talks and how those are going and what we can do to make those better and more value to the members of your chapter. So with that said, we're going to start this conversation about the incentive. We started that early bird incentive based upon an issue that we had here in Fort Lauderdale where the people in the chapter hadn't registered in time, and the venue was not prepared for the number because I'm going to throw this number out because I don't remember what it was exactly, but I think they had 15 people that had registered prior to, but about 25 or 26 people that actually showed up the day of. And what ended up happening in that scenario was that the venue was unprepared with staff. They were unprepared with the right size room. And then it just kind of created some bad synergy. And they ended up being in a room where other people were also dining as well. And to be really honest with you, it really soured a lot of relations. They no longer had faith in us. It made them look bad. It made the place look bad. It made us look bad. And it made the leadership look bad. So we instituted the early bird special because we didn't want that to happen again. So we've gotten some feedback from some people that why are we doing this? And I tried, why am I paying the same price as a visitor? Because it did go up $10. So what I want to do is kind of open up the mic and hope that you guys will have some opinions about that and understanding what the goal was, which the goal is not, this is not about making more money. This isn't an attempt to do something like that. The attempt is to get people to be responsible and timely in their registration so that we don't look like we don't know what we're doing and that we are mindful of the importance of having those numbers to give to your venue. So we heard, from some people that I think that some chapters aren't necessarily talking about it with their membership, which is really super important because we've been talking about this since January on these Leaders Connect calls. So somehow that information is not necessarily getting out to the members at your meeting. So I'm going to open it up. Who has a comment about this?
This is Henry Hernandez from the Coral Gables chapter. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Henry.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
Very well.
My comment, we had our launch this past week. So I'm not speaking from a place of experience necessarily. The only thing I will say is wherever the venue is, it should have a reception desk for registration, because I think the reality is, particularly in Miami where, I don't know, think people tend to get backed up and are not sure to the last minute whether they're going to make it or not in terms of early bird special. You need to have a separate sort of area, even if it's just a table for registration, and that continues even once the meeting has started, because the reality is that's going to happen quite frequently, I feel like, in Miami, even if we are pushing the early bird special and people pre-registering so that the venue can have a number count. Because my two guests basically showed up that day had not registered, and one registered there online and paid via credit card, and the other one paid cash. So I think just the reality is, in Miami at least, that people are going to be showing up, and I don't know what the numbers are going to be. I guess we'll get a better idea of that on a go-forward basis, but it's going to happen continually, I feel like.
Okay, Christy, you had something? Thank you for
Hi,
that.
yes, to comment on that. Hi, Henry. Nice to meet you. Our guests are not penalized by the early bird special, and this is because we really want to promote guests to come, and we do know that some people register last minute. So we welcome all guests to come, just like members can buy a guest ticket at the same price. The only one that is affected by the early bird is the member. So if they register late, now members know when their meetings are, so you guys should make the effort to plan ahead and set your schedule so that you can be there and register ahead of time. So guests will not be affected by that. And yes, there should be registration at the meeting with the membership chair and treasurer checking people in and stuff. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I want to add something to that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to add something to that because the problem again lies, and we had that experience in Coral Gables too, and especially, you know, when the Wi-Fi is poor, to add insult to injury, then not only are you backed up, because ultimately we want people, even the guests, to register online so that we can have it in the system, so that we can help you guys when you need to check you know, who attended the last meeting. If there's a follow-up, if there's a touch point that you want to do after, that it's in the system. And then so that backs up the time for the guests. And then on top of it, if you have members that haven't registered, then again, you're taking that time when people could be networking or talking, creating relationships, to just being backed up at that front desk. So that's why we implemented this, at least for the members' sake, that will get them to register prior.
Hi, this is Heidi from Long Island, New York, chapter that is forming very, very soon. And so I just asking for some clarification. What are you talking about numbers-wise? If you could just give an example of how it's being divided, guests, members, early bird, what does it look like?
So the way that it works simply is that, you know, members have the discounted rate of, let's say, $30 for the chapter, whereas members would have to pay $40, let's say, right? There's usually for lunches is a $10 difference. Some breakfasts do $5 difference. And that's just as a member benefit. So what we implemented was that in order for the member to get the benefit of having a discounted rate, they would have to register at least 4 days, 5 days, or a week, depending on chapter, on what we agreed. You know, we started off with a week, and then some chapters wanted to shorten it to like 4 or 5 days before. Then they would have to register prior. If they would pass that date, then they would have to pay the same amount that the guests are paying. Again, to try to get them to sign up earlier so that we have a better head count, and then you don't have to have this big, you know, group coming in of members as well, having to register at the meeting.
And the reason for this is really and truly from experience. This was a situation that happened in real time. It wasn't pretty. We looked bad. They looked bad. It damaged the relationship we had with the venue, and it just wasn't good. And it's interesting, we have now, because we're from the southeast all the way up to the northeast with different kind of cultures, you know, we down here in South Florida can, like, to Henry's point, we have a kind of a different lifestyle and kind of different business culture as well. So we tend to be on Miami time sometimes down here. And I think that, like I said, that at the end of the day, that sounds great, but it damaged a relationship that that needed to, I wish it to have, the truth is I wish that it hadn't gone that way, because had it gone the right way, we would probably still be there. And so this is the damage that can come so that you guys can see it. It didn't come because we showed up and yay, that's great. You know, we had 27 instead of 15. That's great. But at the end of the day, what happened was that they looked ill-prepared and unable to manage, a small to medium-sized group of business professionals. So what ultimately the point of trying to change the culture of that Miami time to that 15, or 5 days, whatever it was, that's the reason for that. So if you guys can get that culture created within your community, I think we would be good. And if we stuck, and is everybody okay in understanding that to get that messaging out to your members, that we need them to cooperate, and that's the reason? Because I just don't want people to get upset on this.
Yeah.
This is Henry Hernandez again. Just to clarify, because I think this is multi-layered. I agree with getting the messaging out. I agree with, trying to change the culture somewhat in terms of not running on Miami time. One of the questions that we raised in our first executive board meeting was, can't we just bill automatically just so that all the members are locked in, even if it's at 30, because everyone gets the benefit? I know it's still an additional problem. That's why I say it's a multi-layered issue. There's still the issue of how many are actually going to show up, and the venue being prepared. But if we can sort of splice it up, I don't know if that's a possibility, just at least so that the payment's secured and that's locked in, and then we can come up with a different model in terms of how we can gauge actual numbers that are going to be attending each meeting.
Unfortunately, Henry, we can't. Our system, the software that we use, doesn't allow. We wanted to. We were trying to do it that we can pre-populate and pre-do it for the year, give the opportunity for members to be able to pay up front. But unfortunately, the system doesn't take that. So we really, we have no other option. Basically, we want to put it out there as far as, this is really the only option in being able to sort of put that fire under people to register in advance. But what we want to know from you guys, if the feedback so far that we've put it in place is bad, is negative, if this is making a bad experience for your members, then we would revisit this. But right now, really, there's no other way of doing this other than this way, or just not having anything and people can register up to the day before. But then again, we have that same problem of not knowing how many. Mary, would you like to say something?
Yes. Am I muted or no?
No, you're good.
No.
I have not received any complaints from the Boca lunch chapter. And I can tell you, as the membership chair, I loved this idea, because the amount of time, especially as your chapter grows, it can really become very chaotic if you're not trying to change the behavior. So I've not received any negative feedback from my folks. And so.
Okay. And you guys are growing. You guys are having a lot of people now at your meetings. Congratulations, by the way. You guys have done a lot of hard work, and that's the reason. So if nobody has any reasons for changing it, then I think that it seems like it's maybe working to create that behavior. With that, real quickly, Henry, one of the things, another reason why we can't do exactly what you want to do, which we've talked about it, is that as an example of Mary's chapter in Boca, they have outgrown their venue. They were at the Capitol Grill, and they outgrew that chapter location after a year, and they had to move to a different location with different pricing. And that's a good problem to have, but financially, if somebody had already prepaid for lunches and all of that other stuff, we're still kind of at that stage in our growth where we kind of need to feel things through, and perhaps at one point we will be able to do that. I hope that we will be able to do that, but right now it's just not in the cards for us. But hopefully a year from now we will be in a different position.
Right.
Quick question from Heidi.
Yes.
Is that a policy in all the chapters that guests and members have different fees?
Yes.
Okay.
We do that, but keep in mind that the guests, so what we have is we have those cards, and we have a guest code that is VIP guest. That means that if a member wants to register a guest to come, or if a member wants either if they're going to be reimbursed or not, then if they're doing it in the right amount of time, they'll always pay the member rate for the guest. And on the business cards that you get for your chapter, it says that code. So if you meet someone that you want coming to the chapter, you can give them that code to use for the first meeting that they're coming, so that they would pay the member rate. So it's just for further, you want to have some kind of separation. You don't want someone just showing up and paying. There's got to be some kind of benefit for the member too, as opposed to the guest rate.
So the higher rate is for a guest that really wasn't invited by somebody in particular?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so on that, and that note, we will change. We will leave it at, what is our current? Are we 3 days, 4 days ahead of time? A week? What is the current amount of time that we settled on?
It depends. It's typically a week, unless it's decided otherwise.
So if everybody can start to institute that at your chapter meetings, that is something that they need to, and we've been, to be really honest, we've been very, we've credited people, and we're trying to create that culture. So if you guys can help us create that culture within your chapter, we won't have any misunderstandings, and then it'll just be a regular thing. People will be prepared, and you guys don't have to hound them. That's the, another benefit of this, is that we didn't want you to be so inundated with having to follow up. This hopefully will take some of that off of your backs as well, from a leadership perspective. So we'll leave it at the way it is. The second thing that we wanted to get your feedback on was kudos. Whether you guys feel that it is something that could be, instead of just kudos, that it could be kudos, thank you.
Let's start off, Vicki. Let's start off, Vicki, with just getting the feedback on the kudos. So how do you guys feel the kudos section is working in your chapter? Do you feel that you're getting good vibes? Do you feel that it is a good space or a good way to get people to share experiences with others? So let's open that question up first.
Mine is more of a question than a comment. This is Carlos from Aventura. How do you guys deal with I can't think of a better word than the resentment, because there are 3 professionals per category, when one of them gets a referral and the other 2 feel like, why didn't I get it? That's the first question. The second is about, I guess, I feel like we may get a little bit more traction or a little bit more motivation or a little bit more buy-in from the membership if the kudos are a little bit more focused on closed or transacted or referred business, because they I don't know, they call me cynical, but I think it's what's in it for me mentality is kind of a big issue in our area. So if they see business being passed, they may be a little bit more motivated to engage and participate and not have such a let somebody else do it mentality. So those are my 2 questions.
So to answer your question, and I think that you answered your second question with your first question, the problem lies that you do have 3 people per profession. So some people may not feel comfortable sharing that they referred somebody or that they did something for somebody else. And we've had this discussion actually a few times with a few chapters that, in one of our forming chapters, they even said that they were those for referrals, but more for just as resources when people have been doing resources or doing good in the community, because you don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable. It's a really tricky situation, because I agree with you that people want to know, if it's working, but at the end of the day, it's if it's working for you, what's in it for me? And it doesn't necessarily need to be announced for you to know if you're getting traction or not, right? So if you're getting it, you're going to continue, you're going to be happy. If you're not getting, and it's not to say that every single person is going to get referrals all the time, it's just, there's a lot more benefits, like we always talk about, within our association. That's why we're different. That's why we don't meet weekly and we don't actually necessarily do the tracking. So it's a very fine line. But at the end of the day, if someone's getting business, they're going to be, I'm not necessarily going to be happy about somebody else getting business. That's not going to mean anything to me if somebody else is getting business and they're announcing it. What matters to me is if my business is growing and what am I personally getting from this experience. And I don't necessarily think that the kudos would help for that aspect. I think it's more, and we implemented more per se to get people just a good vibe of seeing how the chapter is becoming more like a family, or more like uniting each other and being there as resources for each other, and the good things that people are doing within their community. So, there's a lot of benefits that you can have if you want to actually get that referral in the kudos time to talk about what that you notice somebody else did something that doesn't even have to do with necessarily the NADP or their business, but that they have some kind of accolades or some kind of accomplishments. So that was really our frame of mind when we created the kudos. And I totally get what you're saying, Carlos. It's just so hard when you have one type of platform and then to transfer that when it's a one person category, a group, it's much easier to do that because the lawyer doesn't care about whether the plumber is getting business or it's good to see that the chapter is referring, but it's a totally different structure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just have to figure out how to diplomatically let people know if that becomes an issue for them, or
And that's why, right? And that's why we're addressing this issue of thinking of maybe we should change kudos to something else, or maybe we should just clarify that kudos isn't about the referrals. Actually, it's not about the referrals, because that's something you're going to know if you're getting, and there is business being transferred and happening in all of our chapters. It's more for the sake of thanking something for somebody else or being a resource or something. And I think that puts less pressure. And I think that it also gives the opportunity for people to share good experiences. I mean, there's so many, one of the things that I said when we were discussing about this, okay, for let's say removing kudos for a minute, right? We don't focus on it. So having witnessed so many different kudos that didn't have to do with referrals, it really shows so much benefit. Like even if it was like Mary Zog, thanking Harriet Fox for driving to Orlando to meet with a client, not necessarily, she didn't even get the job. Like it wasn't for the job, it was for being a resource for her. Or whether it is someone at last minute, again, helping somebody else with a client with a question that they had that nobody else would have been able to answer that call at 11 o'clock at night. I think this is really valuable for your members to be hearing this. Sure. Because of the fact that that's the additional benefit other than the referrals that keep people happy. So on one hand, to remove that completely, I think would not benefit that good feel of what's going on. But I understand the fact that if people aren't hearing, so I mean, my opinion was just to let people know that the kudos is not about referrals. It's about everything else, right? Just like we do anything but business, like this is about what people are doing in the community, what they've been as resources for each other, the education that they provide, or the comments that they made, things like that. Was my recommendation. But this is why we're having this open platform to see if there's any other recommendations that you have that maybe we can alter this, or if it's working for you, then if it's not broken for you, then don't fix it type thing. But maybe we can, implement it in a different way.
The question is that do you feel that having it be so much focused on how much business you got from one person or another, if that is the sole value that you guys would see it for your chapter? Does that make sense? Because there are other things, and also we do want to hear if there's somebody's doing something special for the community. I think that's a part of it as well. So the goal of it was always to highlight good things going on in the chapter, not just business. So the question is, do you guys like them? Is it helpful?
This is Henry again from Coral Gables. I see it as a twofold issue. One, in terms of, I agree, kudos just as general membership should be positive aspects of whatever's going on, whether it's individually within the chapter or the community generally. Secondly, I think it would be favorable if one of the directors said, listen, thanks to X, Y, and Z who are doing great in terms of referral business, and not who they referred it to or who received it, but just that they're the ones that are referring, and they're doing a good job as far as that's concerned, because you are highlighting the benefit of the chapter and the benefit of the referrals, but not necessarily raising the issues that Carlos spoke of, where it's, well, I'm a mediator, why do you send it to that mediator and not to me? It's just thanks to whoever referred it, and these 3 people have the most referrals, or however it's going to be presented. But just so that culturally, I think it makes sense. One, hey, kudos is just highlight the positive. And secondly, one of the president, vice, whoever will address who's referring and highlighting those aspects of it, maybe on a go-forward basis. I'm speaking again from the perspective of we have 1 week into this as far as the Coral Gables chapter, but just what I see going forward, I think kudos is a good thing, because you can also bring up something that's positive that you may want to highlight just for a specific guest that's there, and you can take the platform of the kudos to address that.
Okay.
Agreed. Yeah, that may be something that maybe it's something that we can open up and say that if anybody does give out a referral, just to notify the director of the chapter. They don't even have to say to whom or what it was for, but then be able for the director or the membership chair just to give a general kudos, just saying so-and-so, it's brought to our attention that so-and-so has given out referrals. We want to thank you for doing that. And that's it. And keeping it vague so nobody knows what it is, but they know who's participating in the chapter. What do you think about that, guys?
I think that's strange. I think it makes it like, really, you're going to like say that something, that would bother me. Either you say it or you don't, to leave it sort of mysterious. And I don't know. I mean, I believe me, I hear both. I understand both sides. Kudos in my chapter, Westport chapter, is I find a very strained time. It doesn't work well in my chapter, and the few referrals that we have heard, I can feel the tension in the room of the other professionals. So we sort of stayed away from that, and I find it to be kind of like people don't know what to share during that time. So I was gonna try this week to change it to member announcements, and possibly I was gonna try saying this is not about referrals, and I speak to what you said, Liz. I think it's so true. If people know they're getting referrals, they'll be happy and want to stay in the chapter. Yes, there's other benefits, but the truth is at the end of the day, at the end of the year, if they don't feel like they're building relationships and going to get referrals, then it didn't work for them. Because that really is what members say. They love everything about the NADP, but at the end of the day, if they don't feel that they're going to be getting business, then, it's not going to work for them.
I would agree.
And I was suggesting, this is Henry again from Coral Gables, I wasn't suggesting that it be mysterious. I would suggest, let's say in our chapter, Claudia's the president, Claudia says, well, thank you to Henry. He referred a matter. Thank you to Mitch, he referred another matter. It's just specifically the name of who referred it, not necessarily who the recipient was, because then obviously that kind of avoids the purpose of what Carlos was alluding to. And then just the positivity of the kudos. What we did this week was just in terms of the NADP membership directors, and that's what we spoke of. We didn't really, since our first week, we don't have the experience that you guys do necessarily. They've been around for a year, let's say. In terms of past business and that context of it.
I see Doris is on the line. We actually didn't do our regular 30-second elevator pitches. We normally have you guys.
We could do that at the end. How about that?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that at the end. But so sorry about that. But Doris, how do you feel? Doris is the director for our Fort Lauderdale Lunch chapter. How do you feel Kudos is working in your chapter?
I think Kudos works great because we take it more lightly. We don't get so serious about this. In other words, we love Kudos because whoever is receiving the Kudos feels good. It's a feel-good moment. If someone wants to say kudos to so-and-so because they referred some business, that's fine. But if they don't want to, I have said kudos because I referred. I have given kudos out to someone because I needed advice or I needed to refer a client. And it was me who gave it out that said kudos for taking such good care of my client. So I think you need to lighten it up because it could really work against you. If you start, if it starts looking like you're keeping a score, for example, in my chapter, there's 3 of us that are financial advisors. And the other 2 better know that if they get more kudos than I do, there's a problem because I'm the director. Now, all joking aside, but that's something you don't want to shed light on is like, oh, so-and-so's getting them all. And what about, you don't want all that little nonsense going on here. Whoever wants to say something can say it. We're all big boys and girls. But I would never ask people to give kudos in thanking for referrals. because now it's scorekeeping, and scorekeeping is not going to work.
Right.
It has to come from inside. So I just like to thank kudos to my speaker every time for speaking, kudos to anyone or the whole group for really participating in our roundtable discussion. Anything that feels good and that's timely. I think that's what works.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Doris.
And Doris, we want to keep you, give you a heads up because we want to talk about how you guys are doing your ed talks. So
Yeah, I just want to ask Temi one more. It's because we have Temi. We've got a few directors on the call today, and I think we want to take advantage. Temi, how's the kudos working for you?
I kind of feel like it's a little bit like pulling teeth. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's because people are shy or they're not sure what to say, but I've tried to encourage people to not only discuss, what they're doing amongst the group, but what they're doing in their personal life, if it's running a marathon, supporting a charity, just so we can get to know each other on a more personal basis. But I haven't had too much participation from my members as far as kudos. I haven't had any negative feedback, but I also haven't had a lot of participation.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we're
any
trying.
thoughts on how to get people more actively involved in that? Anybody?
I would just start by being the one who gives a kudo. And if nobody else does, say, okay, well, I just move on. Just move on. Don't give that quiet time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pregnant pauses, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Well, maybe we can try to brainstorm too, to think of different ways to get people more. I know that Temi does an amazing job in her chapter, which we're going to sort of try to work with you on that also after Temi, and maybe presenting to others some of the ideas that you guys do, because you change it up every month, and I think that that's really very creative for different things in the chapter. But that'll be on the next LeadersConnect call next month.
So we're good with, so it sounds like we're good with kudos. Just
Actually, I want to jump in if you don't mind before we leave kudos. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify my point. I do think the kudos portion is crucial because I think it's a result of what's happened, whether it's business or otherwise. If somebody did something good for somebody else that had nothing to do with business, I think that's a result of what we're doing, why we're doing this. So I do think it's crucial. I was maybe thinking 2-3 steps ahead, because I want to motivate the people in our chapters to step up and do things as leaders. And I maybe correctly or incorrectly, I'm thinking a lot of what they're motivated by is what they see going on in kudos. So maybe that's why I was just looking for clarification. But to answer the question, I do think it's a crucial part of the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you very much. So we're going to keep that in place. Then we want to move this along because I know that I want you guys to do your elevator pitches. So there's a couple of other things that I think we can go through pretty quickly. The ABB hour, the anything but business hour. I don't know. I just heard some feedback. We created something, and Liz, maybe if you could share your screen on where that is, where they can find. We have created a logo for you guys. It's the NADP presents the ABB hour, which is anything but business.
Christy, can you do that? It'll take you quicker to pull that up, please.
Okay, Christina, can you do that?
Yes, hold on. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay, so and just show everybody where it is on our website, how to get there. And this is available to you. This should be a no-brainer. We want you guys to have socials only because we want forward momentum. And we have Mary Owens and her group in Boca. They do an unbelievable social hour every month, and they have it sponsored so that members don't have to pay. They've gotten a great, what was that? A guy that does teeth whitening. Was he a dentist? They've had other members sponsor their socials, and that's great. And it's wonderful because members don't have to pay to attend, and they get great attendance. I think you guys had about 30 people at your last one, right, Mary? And they're unbelievable. They spare no expense with food and beverage, and that's great. And these girls, and there's a guy on there too, Craig Richmond, they really work hard to make that happen. But you don't have to if you don't want to. You can just use the form saying we're having an anything but business hour downtown at the local bar, or we're meeting for coffee, or we're meeting for lunch, and it's going to cost you $20 a head or $25 for visitors. You can have your visitors offset the pricing for your members. However you guys want to do it. It doesn't need to be anything more than we're meeting at the local watering hole, your watering hole, where it's going to be roughly $15 a head for, beverage, or just, pay your own bill. Whatever you drink, whatever you eat is on you, but just join us and begin to build those relationships, because that's how the momentum of this is going to continue, because you meet once for breaking bread together for breakfast or lunch, but then sometimes over that course of the month, you can get lost in the shuffle. So having an ABB hour is something that makes it possible for you guys to get back together, create and manage those relationships. Also might be an opportunity to schedule your one-on-ones during that same time. So so we're on Christie's. Why don't you take it away and show everybody where it is?
Hi, everyone. So this is the website. This is the LeadersConnect page that all of you have access to. The same way you would go to your chapter group page, it's in the chapter menus. Just go to Leaders and LeadersConnect, and it'll take you to this page. All of the resources you need, including information for this call, which is the same every month. There are group pages over here for those of you who may or may not know, with folders as well to all of your different positions. However, the general operations manual, if you click it, you'll have all of these different forms and files. So that includes, Vicky's talking about the ABB Hour logo and email template, which you can just download and plug in all of your information. That's where to find
it. Show them the ABB Hour email template.
Yeah. And one of the things that I would recommend for your chapters, because we just instituted this, but this is something that the social media chair should really partake in. Be good for them to be helpful in setting this up, and also feel free to create a social committee in your chapter. There's a lot of your members that want to do more for you, and you really want to be able to have them feel like they're involved. So you can just put together a committee next meeting, just say who would like to be part of the social committee, and let them pick the place. I mean, there's really zero planning involved other than picking the location and sending out the email, unless it's going to be a sponsored social that you may want to do more quarterly, because that takes more time, which they can be involved in also. But I think that every chapter has a few of those people that really love putting this kind of stuff together, and it gives that option for them.
If you guys can see it, I just opened a preview of the email template. So if you click on that document, it'll download to your computer. And so this is the logo, which is also separate in that same file on the website. However, if you download this, you can say, hello, Boca Raton Lunch chapter members, and fill it in. It kind of gives you what to put in each space. So, and this includes the logo and the email template that you can send to your leaders.
So that's something that is already done for you. You can, it's yes. A Word document, so you can massage that however you'd like it. You can even put the logo of the restaurant or the bar or the bowling alley or whatever you want to do to make that look better. But that's available to you. So, and I'll give you another example of something that a lot of your members would love nothing more than to have your entire chapter go to their office location to have a social. So they'll even pay for wine and beer and appetizers and some soft drinks to get everybody to go to their chapter. As an example, we have a bank down here, Bank United. One of our members from our West Broward chapter said, yes, the Bank United would love to host a social for their members and for their guests, and Bank United is paying for that. So that's one of the benefits that your members can do. So if you're, a financial advisor and you'd love to have somebody come over to your office and you've got this beautiful conference room and it's something that would be, a good thing for your members and a good thing for guests to come and meet other people, use that. It's easy. It's done for you. Massage it as you feel the need, but use it. Start to do socials, because that's going to build that forward momentum and also the opportunity for relationships, because this is a business built on relationships more than anything else. So if you give your chapter that opportunity to create those relationships, the business and that kudos conversation will follow. Does anybody have any questions about that? Everybody, thumbs up, and we'll use the ABB hour moving forward, and you can make it simple. Temi Zeitenberg, you are perfect. You guys do this all the time, and it's awesome. You guys are doing this, and you are my hero on this. You're the reason that we actually kind of started this. You don't even know that. And now I want to move, because we're moving out of close to our time. I want to talk to you guys about your Ed Talks and the goal of Ed Talks and how we can make this better and better content. The goal of the Ed Talks is to have your speaker educate everyone in the room about how the things that they wish that they knew, so that their clients, by the time they come to them, are better prepared, or maybe they have more information about what they do. So as an example, a realtor might want to talk about time on the market, what's happening in the market in your area with real estate, so that everybody in the room can say, yes, when that divorcing client walks into my room and thinks that they need to sell the house next week, and that because you heard from the realtor in your office that it's really taking 3 months in your area to sell a piece of property, you are better informed to help your client go through the process, because they know either the price is going to have to be adjusted, or they're going to have to adjust their expectations. If there's new laws in that are on the books that suddenly impact the divorce process, or a settlement statement, or mutual assets, those are the types of things that we want your people to talk about. And it's so the goal of it is to make the other people in the room a better informed professional about other areas of the divorce process. Doris has a great process that they use, which is they micromanage, micro niche their topic. So Doris, can you speak to that? Are you there, Doris?
Maybe she's on mute.
Oh, is she on mute? Let me see if I can manage you. Let's see, Doris. I don't have you muted.
Maybe she's on a call.
No, I've got a whole issue with computers, and that's why you don't see me.
Okay.
But yes, I would love to share this, because I think I have noticed a huge leap in our chapter since we started doing this year. So we are very, very specific. And actually, as director, I speak personally to whoever I'm asking to be the speaker. And I let them know, and I get an idea of what they plan to talk about, and I let them know that it needs to be very specific, not a broad and not broad, and that it's not an infomercial. Just put it out there. It's not an infomercial. And the purpose is to teach, and it has to do with divorce. What that's done is, because before people were just getting up and just telling whatever, and I've had people say, well, I thought I'd talk about blah, blah, blah. Well, you have to already know what you want kind of them to talk about by Googling it. And so what's happened is, we have every speaker speaks for 15 minutes, 15 to 20 is max. And then I have ample time, another 15 minutes for a roundtable discussion. And that's when people all around the table, because we don't meet at separate tables. We have the room set up as a big rectangle so that everyone can see everyone else always during the meeting. And it kind of feels like when you see the White House and they're having all the leaders from technology or around the world all in one room. It empowers, I think, everybody around that table to speak. And we already have the leadership team little secret questions around the room that if nobody's asking, we're going to jump in and ask these questions. And what I have found is the conversation becomes so deep and they don't leave. I actually adjourn the meeting and they're not leaving. And that's where the referrals and everything else is starting to really blossom from. So last month we had a real estate meeting, and that was so interesting. I was one of the people taking the most notes, I think. And it was real estate decisions in divorce, and our expert led that. And we had in the room mortgage brokers, we had property appraisers, we had insurance, property insurance, and they started giving so much information on what you better do or not do, that it was fabulous for members. I mean, everybody, it really worked well. We did the same thing with accounting, and we did the same thing with, we had lawyers that, I mean, right now we have one lawyer spot open, family law, and we have 2 people that want it.
You know what I want to add to what Doris is saying, and I think that she's solidifying the point of guidance, and this is why we're bringing this up today, is that we feel that maybe some of our chapters need more direction, and sometimes our members need a little bit more direction as to some ideas and sample topics. So what we want to do, and we're going to put this out right now, if you guys can send us an email of what you feel were the best ed talks that you've had, that you felt that was the best value, even if it's just a topic. We don't need the whole thing, because we're going to create a list of probably about 30 different topics that you can recommend to your members when they show an interest, so that you can guide them a little bit. Because I think Doris is right on the money with having a little bit more niche targeted concept as far as the talk, plus having those sort of questions that the leadership team has some kind of questions to spark up that conversation afterwards, if in fact it's needed. Usually that's just organic. So if you guys can just compile that, or pick somebody, really the assistant directors of the chapter should have that information, as you guys are the ones that are reviewing it, whoever's on here today that's an assistant director. But regardless, let your chapter know. Get this information. We'll be sending out an email. Michael will send an email to you just requesting that information. And then by next month's meeting, we'll be able to give you that list, or even before then, a list, just like we gave that, if you guys, I don't know if you read the newsletter, but in the newsletter, there was a list of different topics that we're looking for articles for you guys or your members to write articles that we can post online. Again, being really specific in directing to certain people, certain professions.
So a B2B type of content. What other people in the industry should know about the divorce process from your perspective, or your members?
Ultimately, we want you, if you're an attorney, to be able to go online and go up into the attorney section and have 20 different articles from different professionals that are giving you valuable information for your client. And we will build this, which we think will be an excellent.
Dolphin Expressway and Palmetto.
Someone's getting
somebody's going using Waze. Hey, and then you know what? We're coming to a close here. We've got a very special announcement at the end about Christy. But so the goal here is to get your best topics. You pick 2 or 3 of your best NADP Ed Talks. Get those to us. We're going to put a list together. So for right now, we want to do your 30-second elevator pitches, and then we've got an announcement to make, and then we will be done for the day. So can we start with Bill Donaldson? Are you there, Bill?
Yes, I had muted myself.
Give us who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and what chapter you're with.
All right, I am in the Westport, Connecticut chapter. My name is Bill Donaldson. I'm a certified financial planner and certified money coach. I'm one of the divorce specialists in the group, and I work with people on the practical side, all the decisions they need to make about what they should do, their cash flow, how they should figure out their life going forward after divorce. And I also help them through the coaching on more of the internal issues of money, like why do I spend all the time, or why can't I spend, or why am I frozen, can't decide, all those things that people typically have, especially in life positions. So I offer pretty deep consulting experience for my clients. And I'm also the membership chair of the group.
Well, awesome. Thanks, Bill. I have somebody on the phone. It's a 305 number. Last 4 numbers are 9967. Who's that?
Hi, it's Christina McKinnon. I'm the director of the West Broward chapter of the NADP. How is everyone today?
Great.
I'm a family law practitioner. I've been so for the past 13 years. And we do all aspects of family law, including paternity, domestic violence, of course, dissolution of marriage, and all of the sub-issues that fall under its auspices. Our motto is, we fight for the life you deserve to live by bringing peace to your home life while securing your children's future. and I'm glad to be here.
That's a great line. I love that. Raquel Ramirez.
Hello again, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, great. I'm Raquel Ramirez, a residential real estate broker at Featured Properties International. I also serve as the social media chair at the NADP of Coral Gables. I consult, negotiate, and help buyers and sellers with all the details of a residential real estate transaction. Knowledgeable, caring, and professional, but I'm also a divorcee. So I'm sad to say that I had to handle the sale of my own home several years ago, and that was really tough. But that really taught me a lot. So that being said, I understand how delicate these transactions can be, and so I'm committed to helping with the emotional process. Needless to say, I love working with families. That's actually probably, if I had to say I had a niche, I would say working with single-family homes, but specifically with families. And lastly, I have a corporate banking background, so I know exactly what it's like to handle complex transactions. So from one end of the spectrum to the other, I'm prepared to do that. So, and I'm very happy to be a part of the NADP.
Well, we're happy that you're here. We have a 516 number. Last four numbers are 3185. Who's that?
That's me. That's Heidi Kramp. Hi, I'm the director of the newly forming Long Island chapter of the NADP. Super excited about the launch of the chapter. I am a divorce coach. I help women and men create a more positive process, resulting in strength, confidence, and success. Coach them through all the changes that permeate our lives during divorce, social changes, career changes, living arrangement changes, and really coach them into creating the new life that they desire for themselves. I love doing what I do, and I'm very happy to meet you all and looking forward to connecting more on these calls.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you here. Carlos Gutierrez.
Yes. Hi again, everyone. Carlos Gutierrez. I'm a residential realtor, and my specialty in real estate is working with attorneys and their clients who have a legally complex situation that needs to result in the sale of a home. I'd say the majority of my referrals come from attorneys, and they trust me. And when the attorneys can't decide on which realtor to list property that's tied up in a divorce, I've actually been court appointed twice. So I'm very familiar with not only the divorce process and the disposition of property, but many different instances where there are legal complications and the home needs to be sold. I'm the director of the Aventura chapter for the NADP, and I was the 2016 residential president of the Miami Association of Realtors.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. Doris Bodner.
Okay. Hi, I'm Doris Bodner, director of the Fort Lauderdale Lunch Chapter. I'm a holistic financial advisor. We take a gentle, non-intimidating approach that makes it easy for clients to talk about all their money and make decisions that put them on a direct path to meet their goals. Divorce affects half of all clients, which is why the NADP is a great fit for my practice. And what I like most is that it provides me with an instant, at my fingertips, team of interdisciplinary, like-minded professionals that help me bring some order and reduce chaos from the divorce process.
No, thank you, Doris. We're happy to have you here. Mary Owens.
Hi, I am Mary Owens, and I am the membership chair of the Boca Raton Lunch chapter, and I'm also a CDC certified divorce coach, and I specialize in working with women who have been abandoned in their marriages, either through, it could be infidelity, could be their husband has a mental illness or a substance abuse problem, and I help them to gain the confidence and courage to make some difficult decisions and provide them with support and knowledge to make these decisions so that they can move forward in their life with integrity and being their best self, really.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We're so grateful to have you here. Now, I don't know if I have an NADP Leaders Connect. I don't know.
No, that's Nicole.
Okay. Nicole, there you are. Hi, Nicole. Are you muted?
Oh.
There you are.
Okay, thanks. Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm muting because I have kids home today. It's a holiday up here. Hi, I'm Nicole Fewer, the director of the Westport, Connecticut chapter. I am a certified divorce coach, also from the CDC, and I've been coaching for about 3 or 4 years, helping men and women through the process practically and emotionally. And I am also now joining NADP to help them grow in the Northeast. And I'm very excited to help them launch all the chapters that are popping up here. Popping up here.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Yeah, a blessing beyond blessings. You have no idea. And lastly is Temi Zeitenberg. Not lastly, but never lastly, but Temi Zeitenberg.
That's okay. My last name is Zeitenberg, so I'm used to going last. I am the director of the Boca Raton Breakfast chapter. I am the owner of the company Divorce Smart Esquire, and I'm a family law attorney. I try and do mostly non-litigation cases now, helping people through the process of mediation and collaboration. And my motto is, when it's time to part, divorce smart.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're glad to have you all here. And and as we get back to our agenda here, and we've got a special announcement with Christy, we do want to take this time to say kudos to all of you guys for being here and helping us and making your voices heard, and know that it matters, and know that we take what you say very seriously. So you guys are adding to the growth and to, as we start to, now we're at the tweaking stage. There was a time where we had to blow up things and start all over stage, but we're past that and we're at the tweaking stage. And you guys are the reason that we're as far along as we are. And we consistently hope that you guys will always join us, be a part of this, have a voice here and make a difference. If things aren't going the way you need them to, you need some help from us, or you need some help from some of these other people, we hope that you guys will start to reach out on a regular basis. But the most important thing that we wanted to say to you is kudos for being here and being a part of this, and for feeling free enough to say what's working and what's not working, and never feel bad about that. Always know that we want news, good or bad, because we can never change things if we don't know that it's an issue. So that's what these calls are about. Thank you so much for being here. And then the last thing that we have before we go is our Christy has found another position that speaks to her passion. Christy has been studying writing. She's got her master's degree in writing, and she was she's always been such an integral part of all of the writing that we do here, your emails and your newsletters, and she will continue to be doing that for us. But she's going to be moving on to edit with an author that's writing 3 books, and he has hired her smartly to edit his next 3 books. So Christy, we will miss you, but you'll still be a part. And we have brought on Michael, and Michael, I'm going to have you say your last name, but he has been a part of the NADP now for about a month behind the scenes, and Christy's been preparing him to kind of take over her position. We will be hiring some others, so if you know of somebody that we should be talking to, please let us know. But Christy, you've been awesome, and I'll let you introduce Michael.
Yes, hi everyone. So thank you, Vicki, for that beautiful introduction and just introducing for me what's going on. So yeah, we have brought on Michael. Michael Zajac. However, if you want to pronounce it Polish way, Zion. So I'll let him formally introduce himself too. Yes, I have been working with him and training him on the back end of how we do things here, and filling your chapters with new members and communicating with you guys. So I have the utmost confidence that he will do a great job in helping this transition, taking over for me, and helping anyone else who comes on also. So I will now pass it over to Michael to introduce himself.
Thanks, Christy. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Zajac, and I'm, as you know, now part of the support team for the National Association of Divorce Professionals. I'll be helping also vet and approve your members, optimizing the website, sending out reminder emails, and answering any questions that you guys have. So if you need to know anything, it's michael@thenadp.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Thank you, Michael.
Oh, yeah, so moving forward, if everybody can just direct their emails to Michael, that would be great. And again, we will be having one more person probably within the next month or 2 months. We're just looking for that right individual to support Michael so that it doesn't all lie on his shoulders. And I wanted to say kudos. I mean, Chrissy's been with us from the get-go, and she's been so incredible. I've had a relationship with Chrissy for many years now, and we've been thrilled that she's been part of this, and she's still going to maintain to be part of this, and we wish her really the best. And also want to let you guys know my kudos to everybody is, you know, every time you guys have a meeting, every time you're on this call, every time you have a new member in your chapter, you're adding to our mission. And just know of how thankful, as someone that has been in this industry for so many years, and the passion is to help the consumer. I know I'm speaking for myself. I think it's the same for Vicki. And just want to really thank you guys for all of that, because what you're doing, this is volunteer and we know it. And although it's benefit to you and your businesses, and we know that and we're aware of that, it's still the passion that you all exude about this is really congruent with ours. And that's not easy to find people to step up for that. So we really, really appreciate you guys. So just wanted you to know that.
So thank you all. And please put this call on your calendars right now, the third Mondays of each month at 12 noon. Bring your voices. Let us know how things are going. It's through meetings like this that we'll get better and that you'll get better. And we will see you all at your next meetings. Thank you all so much for being here today. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye. Happy holidays.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Guys.